Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into the documents that companies don't necessarily want you to read. Today we are diving into a report that could easily be titled How to Borrow $1 Billion. And then some mend you before we get started. If you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where you can discuss all things corporate finance. This report is an 8K filed by HPS Corporate Lending Fund. In short, it's all about a big change to their existing credit agreement, which is a fancy term for a loan. They've essentially renegotiated their loan terms up to the amount they can borrow and extended the repayment deadline. Let's get into the specifics of this deal. First up, we have the heart of the matter, the details of the deal. On May 15, 2025, HPS Corporate Lending Fund made some big changes to their loan agreement, called the Loan and Servicing Agreement. They did this through something called the 7th Amendment. Think of it as rewriting some of the rules of the loan to make it bigger and better for them. The report mentions something called Elliott Holdings ALP, which is the borrower. They are the ones taking out the loan. Then you have Morgan Stanley Bank, NA, and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Those are the lenders, the ones providing the money. And finally, Morgan Stanley Senior Funding Inc. acts as the administrative agent, kind of like the referee, making sure everyone plays by the rules. This amendment changes a previous agreement from February 3, making sure everyone plays by the rules. This amendment changes a previous agreement from February 3, 2020. All of these changes combined are now called the Amended Credit Facility. So what exactly changed? Well, first, the interest rate, which is called the applicable margin, has been adjusted. It's now based on a mix of what kind of loans they have. If they have more easy to sell or liquid loans, the rate will be better, but it can't go below as they have. If they have more easy to sell or liquid loans, the rate will be better, but it can't go below $250,000. That's $1,250,000. 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 They can borrow more. They have more time to pay it back, and the interest rate changes based on what kind of loans they have. Next up, we have item 2.03, which talks about how this new loan creates a direct financial obligation for the company. Basically, this just means that the company now officially owes this money. This section simply references the details we've already talked about in the previous part, so no new information here. The last item, item 9.01, is about the financial statements and exhibits. It lists the documents attached to this report. This includes the actual amendment agreement, which is Exhibit 10.1, and some digital data files. Let's scroll to the Exhibit 10.1. This is the actual legal document outlining all the changes to the loan agreement. It's very long and full of legal language. Tells us a few things. First, HPS Corporate Lending Fund is confident enough in their business that they are willing to take on a lot more debt. Second, the lenders like Morgan Stanley and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce also believe in the company's ability to pay it back, or they wouldn't be lending them so much money. Third, it gives HPS Corporate Lending Fund a lot more debt. Second, the lenders like Morgan Stanley and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce also believe in the company's ability to pay it back, or they wouldn't be lending them so much money. Third, it gives HPS Corporate Lending Fund a lot more debt. Second, the lenders like Morgan Stanley and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce also believe in the company's ability to pay it back, or they wouldn't be lending them so much money. Third, it gives HPS Corporate Lending Fund a lot more debt. Second, the lenders like Morgan Stanley and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce also believe in the company's ability. Now for my take on this filing, it looks like HPS Corporate Lending Fund is making a pretty big bet on the future. They're betting that they can use this extra money to make even more money, enough to pay back the loan with interest. It's a bit like taking out a mortgage to buy a bigger house, hoping you can rent out the extra rooms for more than the mortgage costs. If they are wrong, they could find themselves in a lot of financial trouble. But if they're right, this could be a very smart move that leads to big, very smart move. That leads to big profits to One thing that stands out is the change in the interest rate. By tying it to the type of loans they have, it encourages them to focus on the less risky ones, which is probably a good thing for the lenders, but it also means that their profits could go down if they can't find enough of those safe loans. This all depends on their ability to find good investments. If they can't find enough good deals, they'll be stuck paying interest on a huge loan without any extra income to show for it. In conclusion, this filing tells us that HPS Corporate Lending Fund is going big on debt to fuel future growth. It's a risky move, but it could pay off big time if they play their cards right. The next few years will be interesting to watch. Alright, that's our breakdown of HPS Corporate Lending Fund's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.